Yo, what's up guys? Turn here, and today we're back with a brand new video. Today we're going to be talking about the Minnesota Rokkr and the Vegas Legion. So in terms of CDL points, these teams are very close. They're fighting for the last kind of champ spot. Obviously, there's other teams that could make it in, but for right now, these are the two teams we're looking at to make champs. Just the last spot for champs. So. I'm gonna switch it on over to this screen, and these are the CDL standings at the moment. So Vegas and Rokkr are only separated by 20 points at this moment. I'm not sure if this has actually been updated before today, but I mean a 20-point difference. Um, so yeah, these two teams had 3 matches this weekend in total. So the first match I'm going to be looking at is the Vegas Legion match against the Los Angeles Guerrillas. This match was today. Um, as of the date I'm recording, this was just Sunday, April 9th. So this was the series stats. So Clay and Temp, obviously having a huge series. Standy has a .99 series. TJ kind of back to his old ways a bit, the .89. But in terms of kind of what this match I kind of got out of it, I think that for the form I thought that Vegas was in, I feel like it should have been a cleaner series than this. Um, you kind of go back and look. Obviously, Vegas with the 6-0 in the first start, just kind of a highlight for me. Um, the hardpoint embassy, I feel like Vegas has been very good on that. I also do know that LAG has been good on that throughout the year, though. Like, that Academy roster was really good even before having RCs on it. And, I think when you talk about, like, Diamond Con for RC's upgrade, I think the roster is just going to be better, and they almost beat FaZe and the likes of them, even though FaZe and them weren't as good of a hardpoint team at the beginning. Still kind of aren't, but um, I think it's more impressive for LAG and for Vegas. I'm kind of just looking for that series where, like, they kind of show me what they're actually like their actual potential is, because I feel like right now, I think a lot of people would agree with me on this, like when you see Vegas's matches, they kind of play down to their opponent a lot. I think it's really gonna start to hurt them. um you teams like this, like LAG, like teams when we looked in the standings, like these three teams below you have to be guarantees for you. And that goes for both teams. Obviously, that's not just ratting on Vegas, but like your goal is to make sure you're better than all of the teams below you, and then and then try to get wins on a couple of the teams above you. So I feel like for them, it almost made me think like how good is Vegas really if their series against LAG is this close? Because before this, I mean, LAG hasn't really had a good series. I mean, when you look at the series stats, like, it's not like anybody had like a fucking superstar series. Like, they just played good team, like, kind of fundamental COD to have it close. Um, Obviously, the only maps that LAG won were Embassy and Control, but I feel like with everything going on at LAG and the financial side and the roster not knowing if they're going to be there next year, like their future's kind of uncertain. I feel like Vegas should be able to just kind of will themselves past a team like this, like pretty easily. Um, so when we look at it, the first map, 196, 250. Okay, maybe that's like a okay, it it could be, like that is one of their better hardpoint maps. Sure, you bounce back in the S&D. It's a 6-0. Um, 1 3-1 control on a CeeLo. Like, LAG has not been good at control to begin with, and I know Vegas hasn't either. And they did look good in both of their searches, which is something that they always have been. And we always said if they could kind of steal a respawn, that to be a top team, but I feel, or they would be a good team. But I feel like when you look at the other teams in the standings, like, yeah, sure, you can take a search, yeah, search off Surge. Probably take one against Boston, maybe. Boston's form's pretty good. New York, you might be able to take one. I actually kind of like the way New York plays search. Thieves, hit or miss. Texas, I don't think so. FaZe, definitely not. In Toronto, I don't know. So like when you look at those teams, like if they're struggling to kind of win these series and they're getting like both of their guaranteed search teams, because like LEG is not a good search team. So if they're kind of struggling to win the series, even with their two guarantees, I feel like that's kind of a flaw, like a very very big flaw for them. Or obviously you can't say too much because they did win the series, so that's that. Um, Now the next series I'm gonna get into, which I think was a more concerning one, because who the fuck loses to London? Um, yeah, this one to me is the one that really made me think like, and this was the day before. So this was Saturday the 8th of April. This was like, like they play their first match with Standy. It looks great. Then they go into their next series, and Temp kind of has one of those series where it's like, well, like I mean here, 1.13, pretty good. Then you go to here, like a 0.87 against London. It's to me to the point where like I think it's really just a toss up between those two teams of who's gonna make champs. Like if you're losing matches to London, like maybe it's a one off series, right? But at the same time, like I just expect a lot more out of this Vegas team. Like I feel like they should be up there, like on land they're kind of like a top 6 team. I get the online thing's kind of a hard thing to, they're not all playing from the same place. Like that's whatever, right? Like push that to the side. But I mean, still, like bro, it's London. Like you can't be losing that series if you're trying to make a champs fucking run like the NYSL run last year. Like they weren't losing matches to bottom tier teams like that. Um, so for them, I think this hopefully was a huge wake up call. Obviously, they did bounce back against LAG, but I wouldn't even really have even called it a bounce back. I mean, I'm sure you guys are tired of me saying it, but like, bro, it's a 3-2 against a shit team. And then you lose 3-1 to the Ravens. Like, let's look at the map scores. Like, they win first map. Everything's going great. But keep in mind, what has Vegas' thing been the whole year is search, bro. You're losing a search to the worst team in the league. Like, that is. Dude, that is insane. And if we go and we look at the stats from the map, like Scraps is 9-4, ASIM's 11-7, great. But bro, you just can't have shit performances like this against a team like Ravens. And keep in mind, I feel like Asilo's more one of those maps where like I don't know, if you're a good search team, you're gonna be good at that map, if that makes sense. Um, then we go like the first map, everything's normal. Both the ARs are frying. Standy's having a good series. TJ's kind of just coasting along like he normally does in the respawns. Like Standy had a superstar map for them to win map one. Um, and obviously that's what we kind of expected from him. We go into the control. Now, this is a mode that really I don't understand how Vegas is this bad at it because I think Clay's kind of had one of those rosters that were good like third mode teams in the past. So I think it's very surprising to me that this team is that bad. Um, I hope they can turn it around. Maybe try to work Expo in there a little more. Um, with Hotel and a CeeLo, which we've seen them struggle on throughout the year. I just feel like if you don't kind of get good at Expo, like the other maps, like you know how many times I've seen Vegas get 3-0'd on Hotel Control by teams that aren't not even like top teams. Like it's pretty much just fucking everybody. It's kind of insane. So just looking at the match or the map stats for this, Asim has a .93, Scraps has a 2.14, Nasty has a 1.8, Yuli has a 1.78. So I think this is kind of indicative to how bad Vegas actually are at search. Because these players normally, like, don't get me wrong, Nasty's kind of been good for a while, but if the worst player in their team in terms of stats is Asim, who's been their best player all year, I feel like that's like a fundamental issue, like for Vegas. So I really hope they can turn that around. Obviously, I want the Vegas guys to succeed. Like all those guys, are like some of the more favorable players in the league. Obviously, Temp and Clay, um, and then Standy as well. TJ, I mean TJ's kind of he's just kind of there, but yeah. So going into the final map of the series, this was Embassy Hardpoint, and I mean it's kind of the same thing. Like I feel like the common occurrences is that when Temp doesn't fry, this team doesn't play well. Like you even see it. Like TJ's having a good map. So I feel like just going forward for this team. Obviously, this video is getting kind of long, so I want to get to the last match and wrap it up. But Temp needs to start performing for them, or that champs run is just gonna keep slipping farther and farther if he has a series like this again. Um, and this is normally not like him. That's why I think it's kind of uncommon for this to happen. Um, Now going into the New York and the Rokkr series, the stats for the whole match aren't up for some reason. Neither are they for individual maps, so we'll just kind of go through this quick. So the Rokkr ended up taking map one. As I remember, they looked pretty good in that. And then New York wins the search, which New York I think is a pretty good search team. 6-3, controls 3-1. Subliners are also a really good control team. And they're also not a bad hardpoint team, 250 to 194 on Mercado. And as you guys kind of heard my last video with the Mercado thing, when they played Optic, I think there's like good search teams, or there's good hardpoint teams, and there's teams that are just like a level above that on almost every map. And I think Optic's one of those, and I think that New York is like the tier under, as far as like form right now. But yeah, so if I had to pick one of these two teams I think is gonna make champs, I hope it's Vegas. Um, but just going off of what I saw this weekend, I'm leaning more towards Rokkr. Vegas had two matches against teams that were not very good, and they were very close matches, and one of them was even a loss. And Minnesota had a match against New York, who is a much better team than the two teams that they played, and it was a lot closer. Like I would say it was a close series. Um, I think that Rokkr with a little more time probably win that. Or go game five, whatever. But yeah, so that's my thoughts on the final champ spot, and we'll be keeping an eye on this. After next week's matches, might make kind of an update video, see what we see from them there. But as of right now, this is what the current CDL standings are look like.